Senator Warner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I also just, all three of you sound like AI optimists, but you also said along the way, we got to have some structures. And I think back to where Senator Rounds and Senator Schumer were leading this effort where we had all the biggest names in AI. And remember, I think Schumer asked, how many of you all think AI needs to be regulated? Everybody raised their hand. Everybody's in favor of regulation until you put words on the page. And I worry that we're frankly going almost completely in the opposite direction of putting words on the page around some of this regulatory place. And I just worry, I think back, most of us would think if in 2014 we'd put some guardrails around social media, at least for our kids' mental health, we'd be in a better spot. We didn't. And social media is tiny compared to the potential that AI has. So I think I'll pick up where Senator Rounds left off. Mr. Cohen, I spent a lot of time on cybersecurity and the ability for a domestic, or Senator Rounds said, foreign entity to inject malicious cyberware in the training of the AI models could be hugely problematic. Talk about what, and you just said, you're stronger with a group than individually, what NASDAQ is doing and what kind of public-private entity that maybe governs all the exchanges are looking at trying to set those cyber standards so that kind of injection into the model doesn't take place.
Thank you, Senator Warner, for that question. Maybe I'll start with part two of your question, which is the public-private partnership. We believe that collective intelligence is incredibly important to solving these problems and solving them in a timely manner. And the example that I would give in the way that we're looking at it and we're trying to conduct it for financial crime, for fraud, which is a real drain on our economic system, is we have a solution by the name of Verifin. We make sure that we have a consortium of data that allows us to detect and identify patterns of financial crime that no single institution on their own would be able to identify, because we're looking at 650 million counterparties through a consortium of data in the cloud in a way that allows us to reduce false positives, but also identify.
But is there an organization that's doing that? That's this collection of entities? I just think, again, if you can slow down trading by milliseconds, or somebody can inject into the training model false information, who is the entity that's supposed to be looking at that? And then also, let's assume something gets through. Who should bear the liability? Is it, I'm sure you're probably not going to say NASDAQ, but is it the AI developer? Is it the AI model that underlines that?
Well, I actually do think there needs to be accountability, absolutely. And so your question on the markets, there needs to be accountability at the model level. It's just like an employee. If we call it a digital worker, it's a worker. And there needs to be accountability. And it's a highly regulated entity. I would just say that you would look at...
Please just answer the question. Is there a public-private entity that is made up right now that are setting these guard rules across all the exchanges? Yes or no?
No, we need one. We need to have that discussion.
And if there was this AI-driven liability that found its way into the system, where should the liability lie?
It would be shared across the entity that's responsible, as well as the entity that was responsible for the attack or for instituting that.
Yeah, and I don't fully understand that, but just let me see where we don't talk about maybe in malicious. My time's running down. Price discovery.
Yeah.
Critical to markets. But it's very easily, you can envision, I apologize, I may not get to the other witnesses, but I got a lot of questions for you both as well. But just, you've got a series of AI models, and if they're all kind of trained on the same data, don't you end up then, you could have this kind of notion of price herding because all the models are coming out with the same result, and you've got price herding as opposed to price discovery.
Yeah, but we live with that today. Let's be clear about that. So the models that exist today in our markets that do not use AI, you have developers and engineers and quants that go from shop to shop to shop. The real key there, Senator, because we deal with these problems today, is to make sure that we have controls in place from whether it's a kill switch we have in the market that can stop something that we see initially and we can stop it very quickly, or the rules we put in place to make sure that they're testing their algorithms and testing any technology they put into the market adequately. But that happens today. This is not new.
Yeah, I wish I had heard from you something that says we don't have this multi-exchange collaboration set up yet, but we're planning on it. What I'm hearing is it's still something that sounds individual firm driven.
Well, this is a question for the SEC in terms of bringing the exchanges together in that way. But we have, over the last 10 years, the exchanges have worked collaboratively and said this is not a competitive issue. We need to come together, whether it's on AI and cybersecurity or anything that would affect price discovery. We do collaborate, but we also work with the SEC and FINRA on that. SEC and FINRA, part of their obligation is to bring us together and make sure that we can do that.
My time's expired. I just want to get one last question. Just, is AI a difference in kind, or is it just, are you saying it's simply a continuation of existing technology growth?
It introduces more complexity, more complexity into the market, more that we need to think about, but it's an extension of what we see today.
Thank you.